The beloved 55-hour work week. Who created it? Management or employees? Here on the Unfinished Work Week, we're going to talk about your time management and how to improve your efficiency for your business. And now, here's your host, Andy Katerowitz.
Well, thank you very much, Gary, for that introduction. And welcome
You're very welcome.
And welcome to the Unfinished Work Week. On this show is dedicated to the people out there working 55, 60, 65 hours a week and still not finishing their work week. And all it's doing is really taking time away from your personal life and your family and your friends. And so this show was dedicated to you, to give you ideas on how to not prolong the work week. And believe me, anything can be talked about on this show. Any business effect can be talked about on this show, including, tons of emails and also do office politics if you want to. Tonight's subject is going to be a very, very important subject and a very serious subject. So, normally I laugh quite a bit, but tonight we're not going to be laughing that much. So therefore, I'd like you to join our conversation. Just call 813-639-8255. That should be scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And as I said before, no business subject is off limits. Next, I want to thank our sponsor, Trevor Lott, Vice President and Founder of Business Networking and SEO at www.world-marketsbiz.com. This international company is involved with companies expanding to different countries. And next, I want to greet this week's co-host, the lovely Miss Lisa Shasteen, an attorney with experience in international business and real estate here in the Tampa area. Lisa can be reached at 813-220-3000 or email at mlisaesq@gmail.com. Our topic this evening, deaths caused by work-related stress. I told you it was going to be an interesting and very serious subject. Before we discuss this first-hand negative experience about our work-related stress, let me read a current release by Inc. magazine. Quotations: 30 hours and still going strong. That was by 24-year-old copywriter Mita Dira, tweeted while working for Young and Rubicon, an American ad agency. Only she wasn't. A few hours later, she collapsed in a coma and died. Lisa, I believe this story touches on some of your personal experiences. Can you tell us about them?
Well, sure, Andy. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
It's a love to have you here.
I enjoy being with you. It's a tough topic, but I think there are some light points in how we treat the situation. I went through a year, I think where I lost 13 people who were very dear to me, one of whom was my mother. And so in, such a year, it's really tough. You start thinking about the fifth time you're starting to think, why am I supposed to be good at this sort of thing? And recently I've had 3 people dear to me who are young people who've had strokes, and these strokes were stress related. And so if people are out there and they're working, I was a workaholic too. This sort of was a wake up call for me. And I felt that after observing these things that one of my purposes, one of the things I was supposed to do in life is tell others about what this is all about and what life is all about and what we're supposed to be doing with it. And it certainly isn't just dedicating our life to a cube farm and getting farther and farther and farther in stress. And so I've really been studying how somebody might relieve some stress and the types of things that cause us stress, because I certainly didn't want to end up like my friends. And I know that I am speaking for them, actually. They would love to be here. They would say these things to you. And I've asked them personally, what would you say to people who are staying late at work every night and ignoring all the other signs that their bodies and their families and everything are showing them, saying, don't do this anymore. Please take a break. Please de-stress. So thank you. I get to speak for them and talk about this important topic.
Well, I'll tell you, let's review 2 facts, and these are facts. They're from the American Stress Institute, believe it or not. There is an institute for stress. And number 1, there is 100 million deaths a year due to work-related stress. And if you break that down, that's 7 deaths every 2 seconds.
Wow.
And when I read that, I said, I know it was tough out there, but I didn't realize the fatality rate was so high,
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what you're experiencing too with these people that are having strokes.
Yeah, I'm seeing so much pressure in this world. People have job pressure, income pressure, pressure from employers to do more with less, pressure from the government, requiring more of businesses, business owners being stressed out. How are they going to cover all these things and keep the employees employed and keep themselves afloat? There are a lot of pressures out there, but I think the origin of stress, from what I've been able to tell, is the denial of your own purpose in life. And this kind of lays the foundation for everything that I really have observed about this.
Well, tell me more about that, please.
Well, I think that it's really a gift to be born. Like I was telling you, I believe in God, but it doesn't matter whether you believe in God or don't believe in God or believe in something else. It doesn't really matter what you believe. But the point is, if you deny your purpose in life, it's really an honor to be born. It's a gift to be here. And what we do with our lives is what defines us. And so if you are giving your life over to someone else to manage, and you don't get to experience life the way you were meant to experience it, and you deny those nagging feelings like, I really should be writing a book, or boy, I really feel like I should be studying engineering, or, you're kind of denying that purpose inside of you. I think it just builds on itself, and you're led down a path by someone else, maybe your employer, maybe somebody else in your life that's causing you stress, but you're giving yourself over to that other person to manage your life, and it just doesn't work.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. Where do you just mentioned how stress evolves and how you get stress. Do you know the answer to that? Have you done your research on that?
Well, obviously, it's a biochemical reaction in your body, and it's sort of a fight and flight syndrome, and it creates cortisol. It makes chemical changes in your body and in your brain, and obviously, it affects you, body, mind, and spirit. And the denial of those symptoms and continuing to live in that sort of state, it's as if you're living in a state where you're being terrorized at all times. It's very dangerous, and it causes health consequences as well.
And we will get into that in a second. Some researchers, not some researchers, but the research shows that stress is caused mainly by workload, 46%.
Wow.
People issues, 28%. Juggling work-life personal files, 20%. And as you mentioned, job security, 6%. So when you look at the whole thing, it all revolves around this work-life balance that we've been talking to, that now the scales are kind of out of whack. When you're working 55, 60, 65 hours a week, you're taking a lot of time away from that personal life that you need to recuperate from your work effort. Don't you agree?
I do. I really do.
Now, you also mentioned something else that's kind of a common thread of what I've been doing for the past few years, which is about the brain, as you well know. And you mentioned it. You said cortisol affects the brain. Well, yeah, the brain is our computer running our bodies. Now, what do you know about this cortisol stuff as far as health is concerned?
Well, it's an endocrine response, and obviously it's something that will affect you biochemically inside. It's one of the hardest things for you to fight. I don't think that you have the ability to fight it mentally, because it's an absolute chemical change in your body.
That's very true. And this chemical change, the stress that you're talking about, and cortisol and the adrenalines and the things that make you eat wrong, right? And you don't get activity for your body. These causes strains on not just mentally, but also your body.
Yeah, I think also your body can be affected by stress, and your body can affect your stress too. And I think that's where people can take a little bit of this power back. I think one of the most powerful things you can do, and certainly I am not a doctor and I am not a psychologist, I am merely an observer, but I've had to deal with stress in my own life. And I obviously went through quite a bit of it that 1 year in particular. So I learned certain tools that really helped me out. And I think your body being able, not only is your body affected by stress, but you can also take control by, for example, getting some exercise. And people say that, but they don't really want to do it. And they say, oh, I really need to stay at my desk, or I don't have 15 minutes this morning. I've got to get to work. I really can't go down, the street with my dog for a walk, because I need to get to work. I've got to prepare that contract. I've got to do whatever I've got to do. The fact of the matter is that you have one body, and you really have to take care of it. It's just like you take care of anything. You take care of your air conditioner. You take care of your car. You have one body, and that houses your soul. And what we do with our bodies really affects how long we can stay here and do things and help others and keep our jobs and all that kind of stuff. So if you help your body to deal with the stress, to process it by taking a walk, getting out in some fresh air, doing anything, draw a picture, just do anything that takes you out of that stress mode. And, my recommendation is to just say there are 15 minutes in the day. There really are. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what you're involved with. There are 15 minutes just for you.
But you know what's really sad? Is you're saying there's 15 minutes really for you out of 24 hours in a day.
Isn't that something? And that's just a start. I'm just saying that to appeal to the workaholics in the audience, because I know how that is, because I used to do all these things. I used to say all these things, but now every morning I make sure that I work out for 20 minutes. It's not a lot. I'm no body beautiful person, but I at least try to do.
You lost weight when I said
No, I didn't actually. But I just feel better.
You feel better,
I feel more rested,
Yeah,
and I'm not so stressed.
That is one of the ways they say. Now, if we're going to talk about stress, why don't we talk about the given definitions of stress?
Okay.
Because there's a common thread through here too. One is the state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from very demanding circumstances which a person has no control. Work. Correct?
Well, I would suggest
Your workload.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and that is certainly a great textbook definition, but I think I would also submit that we always have a choice. We always have control. Work is a voluntary activity. We, at least for 15 minutes, which I'm just suggesting is our sacred period of time, and you can add another 15 minutes when you get really brave, just go hog wild.
However, the people that you talked about, being serious now, that had the strokes, maybe had those 15 minutes, but then had to go back into the pool of 55 or 60 hours a week.
Yeah. And this is actually where I think this is the core of what I think stress results from, because I think people focus on the control, they focus on the things they have to do, they focus on the immediate. It's sort of like tactics rather than strategy. I think the whole strategy piece here is knowing what you are here to do as a human being. What is your soul's purpose? What do you feel inside is really what you're about. And the farther away that you get disconnected from that, the more stress and the less control you're going to have over your life, because you're not on track. You're not on internal track.
Okay. Well, as soon as you lose that control, because the second definition is very much like the first definition. And it's the sense of having little or no control is always distressful, and that is what stress is all about.
Okay, but so here you go. So in that 15 minutes, you don't have to exercise. You know what you could do? You could decide, I want to learn Arabic. So you could control the fact that you are learning Arabic, and every day you learn 5 Arabic words. This is something that you control. It is within your control to accomplish something. You can get through lesson 1 by the end of the week. It's just having those little baby steps, making one change at a time. It's not about, trying to control it all.
Well, we have a call coming in?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there. This is Valerie calling in.
Yes, ma'am, Valerie. How are you this evening?
Very good, Andy. I just wanted to say that for you and Lisa, that it's such an interesting topic that you're discussing, and you're so right on with your definitions and what you're talking about. And I just wanted to add something stress. Way back in the 80s, when I was doing research in biofeedback and stress management, the AMA at that point, way back then, said that about 88% of all dis-ease, D-I-S-E-A-S, disease, is created by stress. So we have one of the things that creates a lot of stress is thoughts or things, what we're thinking. And Lisa's really spot on when she's coming to the idea of, we are spiritual beings as well. And until we're satisfying the body, mind, and spirit, sometimes we're stressed out when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And I'm just enjoying your show very much, and thank you both so much, and continue the good work.
Well, thank you very much, Valerie.
Yeah, Valerie, thank you so much. That it's really amazing, and your name is the name of my mother. It just so happens.
Is it really?
Isn't that something?
Oh, Lisa.
So that was just sort of fortuitous. Anyway, my mother, I'm sure, is watching and laughing.
I'm sure, Lisa. And I'm really with you on that whole idea of the spiritual aspect. A lot of times when people are out of sync with the spiritual side of themselves, and I'm a scientist and I believe in this, and I believe that it's a big part of it. And we actually had an experiment that we did way back in the 80s where they had special kind of photography where we would actually photograph people with different thoughts, and different colors actually can manifest depending upon what your thoughts are. And a lot of times there is black surrounding people when they have dark thoughts. These things are real.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. I really do. I live in that belief system. So yeah, I understand.
And light and sound technology, by the way, for stress management. When I was a biofeedback therapist way back then, we used to use light and sound technology very successfully. And this is a whole subject in itself. I just want to hear you guys. You're very interesting, and I want to continue to hear what you have to say. And thank you so much for letting me interject here. But I'm going to hold on if you have anything else, okay?
Okay. Thanks a bunch, Valerie.
Fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye now.
Supporting what Valerie just said about health issues, stress has been known to affect depression, anxiety, heart attacks, strokes, as you know, high blood pressure, immune system, cancers, arthritis, insomnia. And a matter of fact, it's hard to think of any disease not affected by stress. So anybody working out there, and I know what they're saying. They're saying, okay, if I don't work these hours, I'm not going to have a job.
Exactly. I know that. I mean, that is where it starts, and that is where it ends too, for most people. But you have to honor yourself. You really have to honor what you're supposed to be doing in this world, and to give yourself that window of opportunity to be you. You have to, as one actor said, just you do you. You have got to do you at least a little while during the day. I mean, it's like I think we were talking before the show about how, work is sort of like an unwritten contract. Well, it can be written too, but it's, you give me some money and I'll give you some work. But it's become more that you give me some money and I'll give you as much work as you demand. And I will just keep working because you might not ever give me any money anymore. And I think this has to do with a little bit of where our society is headed. We have become very intolerant. Our standards are very high. We expect perfection. We've got 24-hour connectivity. I mean, we are driving down the road, even though it's illegal. We are texting. We are reading work texts and emails, and we're not connecting with our children who are in the car because they're on their, little texting machines and doing their thing too. So these are not real interactions. And the human element of our society and of our bodies and our beings and our spirits are not being fed. And like I say, I am not any kind of expert in this, but it just is so obvious to me now after seeing so many people go through this. And I've really tried to make some changes in my life that have been hugely successful. And as you know, I was a workaholic.
Oh, yes, I do. I do know.
So you know.
And I was too at one time. Mm-hmm. At one time I was too.
Yeah.
But there is more to life than work. And you mentioned before technology. Now, technology, I discussed this with someone last week. Technology can make your life easier. It's the fact that we don't know enough about the technology that can make it easier. And by that I mean, everybody knows Excel. I shouldn't say everybody because some people don't, but all we know is probably 20% of what that can do. Mm-hmm. The other 80%, we don't know what it can do. Mm-hmm. And I still say, we have another call coming in. Hello?
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 Is this the Unfinished Workweek show?
Yes, it is.
Well, why don't you answer the damn phone like that?
We don't accept expressions like that on the telephone, on the show.
Little stress there.
A little stress?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Chris.
You're on the Unfinished Workweek.
It's Sherry.
Well, hello, Sherry. How are you?
That's why I'm teasing you.
Sherry, cut it out.
And what does Sherry have to say this evening?
Why don't you answer the damn phone like that?
We don't accept expressions like that.
We don't. We're getting feedback, Sherry. Yeah. Okay, you got that? Is that?
Yeah, I guess we've just got a little technical
difficulties there, folks. And that's what you get for saying "damn show" on our show.
just so everybody knows, it's like a radio delay. So when you call in, you have to mute your computer because then you'll be confused because it's not doesn't auto update. So we got another caller. Is it the same one?
Do we have another caller?
Yes, this is Susan.
Susan.
Yes.
How are you, Susan?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Very good. This is Andy. I'm here with Lisa Shasteen.
Hi, Susan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think you have a great show.
Well, thank you very much. And why are you saying that?
Well, I had lunch with a coworker today, and we were just talking about how we never get out of our cubes. We're in cube land. Crazy cube land. We eat at our desks. We can barely go from meeting to stop and go to the bathroom. It's pretty sad. And we talked about different things to do, so we talked about maybe just shutting everything off. And I think Lisa has something going there, just to say that.
What a great idea, Susan. That really is a great idea.
Just share with your family and shut things off.
But how can you do that during the day?
Well, you can't during the day, but at night you share with your family. At night you shut things off.
Do you know why the show comes on at 8 o'clock at night?
Because you want people to watch it.
Well, the real reason, yes, I do. And the other reason is this, is because most people work until 6, they get home at 6, 6:30, they have a bite to eat, and then the next thing they do is what? They open up their computer.
But I think Susan's really hitting on something here, Andy, because, we were talking about this too. People are. Susan, you're so right. You sit at your desk, then you decide, well, you don't really have time to go out and get something for lunch, so you'll just do something really quick. So it's something that's not quite so healthy. Maybe you go to the vending machine, get some popcorn or something like that. That's what you're eating. Those are carbs. Carbs tell your body to store fat. Store fat. Don't burn any fat. So you've got the wrong hormones and stuff circulating through your body for, kind of healthy processing and things like that. And that creates stress. And then, of course, it causes you to want to crave unhealthy foods and things like that. And then you don't get any exercise because you've got to sit at that desk and go to work. So it's all just it's a cyclical process. And I think you're really brilliant to have, spotted that and said, you know what, let's just ditch it all and go do something else. Where did all the stuff that we used to do when we were kids go? Where did that go?
Well, and interestingly enough, that's what she said, the company we work for. She said, you're not going to have that printed on your gravestone. What are you going to remember?
Right.
So it's you got to, I think you have to stop. I think if things don't get done, they don't get done. I mean, we're not neurosurgeons and we're not dealing with people and people's lives. So you just kind of have to say, is it really that important? And is it going to be that important 10 years from now?
Right. And, I think too, also it's good to have a sense of humor about stuff. I spent a little time on a project, and I was helping a cell phone company build out its cell network here in Florida at one point. And we had about 10 attorneys that are working in our department, and I happened to be manager. And it was, it was like herding cats. It was really funny. And of course, everybody was a contract employee, so nobody really, coordinated or anything. And we used to have the funniest stuff. We would find silly emails and we would make a big deal out of them. And we would one time we had Secretary's Day, and one of the people had emailed around that there would be no more staple pullers over at the copy machine because people kept stealing the staple pullers. So henceforth, there would be no more staple pullers. So it happened to be Secretary's Day. So the entire legal department went to Office Depot and we bought like 65 staple pullers. And we presented one to each person and gave everybody their personal staple puller. I mean, it was just funny. You gotta find some humor in some of these things. It's just not, because work can't be all drudgery and craziness. These are people you spend a lot of your life with. It should be fun.
I agree. I think humor helps get you through the day. We deal with some pretty serious issues at work, but you have to laugh. It's just work. Yeah,
you're a brilliant woman. You should be queen of the break room at your business and be creating your own program.
Thanks. I just wanted to let you go, but I wanted to tell you what a great job you guys are doing.
Well, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. She brings up a subject here, and what we're talking about at least, is about the workplace. Out of work, we can control our time to an extent. But all those hours during the day is at work. Mm-hmm. Now, if work-related stress is there and what it does to the body, and I know, and now Gary knows, right?
Gary, you okay? You doing all right
I'm
over
a
there?
little stressed out right now.
Yeah, you got a lot of knobs and buttons over there. I don't know.
Okay. My question is this. don't the managers of corporations know it too?
Some of them do, and some of them have employee wellness programs. And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you, one of my dear friends, Rahul Mehra, has a company, Mehra Vista Health, and they actually deal with this type of thing in the corporate environment, the stress, and they have programs whereby they help employees get through difficult times in their lives and recoup their ability to function at work, and also have a wellness component. Some companies are participating in these things, but do you realize how difficult it is to get employees to participate? I bet you, I've not taken a survey, but I will bet you it's because they feel like if they leave their desks to go participate in the wellness program, they're going to be perceived as being less productive. But some companies require participation, which is pretty advanced when you think about it.
It's late advanced.
Yeah, exactly.
It's late advanced.
Yeah.
You know, because when we talk about stress and the Band-Aids, eat right, get 15 minutes of exercise. But when we say, where does the stress really come from? Where does it begin? Who begins it? And it all goes back to that management, corporate mission plan, whatever you may say. It all goes back to there.
Well, I think most people are, number one, are very. Most people are doing the best they can. First of all, second of all, most people will give you a really great effort, and they'll give you their best job if you will respect them and also give them respect as a human being. So I think those managers who manage by fear or oppression or threatening or whatever, those are very insecure people. I just think that's insecurity raising its ugly head. And I think, an evolved manager is going to understand that your team will band together and they will go over the cliff for you when it is really required. But if you require that every single day, that's unrealistic. And that is just sheer stress to create stress. And that's not good.
Happening today.
Yeah, well, I mean that's where
that is what's happening today.
But that's where you have to have your personal corporations. Yeah, but you have to have your own personal lightning rod to say, wait a second, is this okay with me?
I know what you're saying, but I'm still going to go back and say, let's put it this way. In 1938, they passed the law, right? It said that it's a 40-hour work week. You work more than 40 hours, you get time and a half. Because before the law was passed, people were working 50 to 60 hours a week.
If you're an hourly wage earner, if you're on salary, it's different.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. They call it exempt and non-exempt employees, right? Non-exempt employees can make overtime. But when they start making too much overtime, what happens? They create them to be an exempt employee, the great exempt employee, and they actually take a pay cut. While the CEO is still making 380 times more than the average worker.
Yeah, that's a little out of whack. Yeah.
a little out of whack. Yeah. I think that's a lot of out of whack. Oh. We have another caller.
Hi, this is Barbara calling in.
Oh, hello, Barbara. How are you doing? This is Andy and this is
How
Lisa.
Are you? I have a comment I'd like to make.
Okay.
Well, am I on?
Yes, you are on.
Oh, okay. Well, I have two nephews, and they both work in the same field. It's computer field. They're working from home. Everything is done away from the corporate office. One of them works 24/7. He could be called at any time of the day or night. He does wake up. Oftentimes he is getting calls at 4 o'clock in the morning. The other brother doesn't have that problem. And the reason is that the first nephew will take any call. However, the other one is married. He has a family life. He has things he wants to do. So he tells his brother, turn the phone off. Mm-hmm. He has not been fired.
Imagine that.
The second nephew has not been fired. So I think that it really boils down to the person taking individual control of their own life. It's the same job. get paid exactly the same, but one is living under a very stressful situation and the other one isn't. And it's because he has simply taken control of his own life. So all this talk about control, I thought I have to call in and just relate this story of my two nephews.
That is really brilliant, Barbara. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. My question is, because that control word comes up again, right? In the definitions and everything.
It's your own personal lightning rod. What's okay
control,
with you?
All right? Now, where do we begin? Like there's two brothers. One brother says, that's enough for me. After 6 o'clock, my cell phone goes off, right? I'm married to a person whose cell phone doesn't go off. Tweets, Twitters, rings, all hours of the night. Just like you used to do.
I know.
Okay? Now, and where does that equality, I don't know what to call it, but where your boss says, well, okay, if he's only going to work until 6 o'clock, he's only going to work till 6 o'clock.
Well, I think realistically...
And if I don't get the goals done, I don't get the goals done.
No, it's not about getting the goals done. I think what it's about at that point, because I don't think if you work 24/7, I don't think that you're working at your optimal efficiency the entire time.
Positively, you're not.
Oh, okay. Because you wrote a book about this.
That's correct.
So, really, you're not. So that's number one. Number two, I do believe that, as I was suggesting earlier, that, you have to train people in your lives. So like Barbara was saying, if you take that 15 minutes and you insist on that 15 minutes every day, and I'm saying 15 minutes, it should be an hour, it should be 3 hours. But the thing is, if you'll just take 15 minutes, just start the habit. Little things can grow, seedlings grow into great oaks, but and you might be surprised. You might end up writing children's books. You might write, enjoy, learning architecture or doing whatever it is that you've always wanted to do in that 15 minutes that grows. But the point is, if you train the other people in your life that I am going to have this time.
We have another caller coming in. Hello, you're on the Unfinished Work Week.
Hi there.
Hi.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Should I mute the laptop?
I think you have to lower your laptop or your computer. I think we're getting feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, you can hear us.
Mm-hmm.
Was that good or
Now I can hear you well. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, great. And your comments?
Hello there.
Hello.
This is Valdacia Merritt calling from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Hi, Valdacia. You're on the
yes,
air.
My beloved friend Lisa.
Thanks for joining us.
You are conversation.
Now I have to disclose that Valdacia has been a friend of mine since 7th grade, and Valdacia has been a real grounding force and a spiritual leader in my life. She is Reverend Valdacia, but she's also buddy to me. She's my good friend. So go ahead.
You've only known her for about 20 years.
Yeah,
now, right?
but that's okay. But she's brilliant.
God bless you.
She's
Love
brilliant.
You so much, Lisa. I wanted to insert.
You need to lower the volume on your computer.
Yeah.
There's a delay.
Valdi, turn the computer down or just turn the sound off on the computer because it's just giving feedback to you and to us.
I see. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, better, much.
I'm not sure when to come in.
No, you're good. You're on the air. Go for it.
Oh, okay, beautiful. Well, I want to put forth for consideration the decline in the value of rest in the Western society. The Judeo-Christian tradition, when one considers the Ten Commandments, the fifth commandment, what God told Israel they must do, states that they must keep the Sabbath. And the keeping of the Sabbath is a day where you rest. All the family members rest. All the persons who are part of the labor team that's connected to the family, they must rest. It's a complete day of rest. And it's a command, meaning it's a part of the 10 Commandments where we're told not to commit adultery, where we're told to worship only Yahweh, that He's the true living God. So this is the level of significance that God sees rest within the human system.
That's really powerful.
And so the denigration, the removal of that definition where where rest is something where you abstain from work, is worth looking at.
Boy, it sure is. Wow.
That's very strong.
Isn't it?
Well, of course it is.
Okay.
Strong and spiritual.
Any questions? Because God says so, that's why.
Yeah, but he knows our humanity. He knows what we need. And He's saying, I command you. And His commandments are provided out of love. And He's saying, I'm commanding you to abstain from work one day out of the week.
Yeah, just one day out of the week.
Because that's how much we need it.
Just one day out of the week, and yet us materialistic people don't do it.
Yes.
That's pretty
Remember the
sad.
blue laws?
Yes.
Where the banks were closed, doors were closed. That's when we had a sense of abstaining from rest. That's been out the window for years. So, I mean, I'd love to see a study to look at our health, our relationships, etc., when we remove the blue laws.
Yeah, really, that's so powerful. And again, it's this advent of the technology-driven society, the 24/7, always-on kind of, philosophy that has just really invaded health and good reason. There's no good reason for all that. And as a matter of fact, it's really funny, Val. I was watching Oprah the other day on Super Soul Sunday, one of my favorite things to do. And she was interviewing an actor, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but he went to work for Denzel Washington, and he told him, "Look, I have to." All his life, he had observed the Sabbath. And he said, I can't work from sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday. I can't do it. I just can't. I'm really sorry. So if that means I can't have this fabulous job that I can't wait to do, then so be it. And actually, Denzel said, no, that's fine. Things can wait. I mean, we're not all doing, neurosurgery, as I think Susan was saying. It was just we can.
And what's so beautiful about the idea is it's not certain members of the family are abstaining from work and staying inside of home, because that was a part of it too. You weren't permitted to travel a certain distance, and one hearing all of the prohibitions, one might forget that what God is really saying is hang out at the home. And all of the family members just hang out in the house.
Yeah, how many people have Sunday dinner anymore?
And be in a state of worship.
Yeah.
Be in a state of worship where you're communing with God. He's transmitting His heavenly peace within you. He's reminding you of the purpose of living that's beyond work. He's centering the relationships in the families, giving you time to deal with disputes and misunderstandings.
Well, it's kind of
assert that.
This is such an important message, and I think it's work is something you do. It's not who you are. Who you are is something that is very spiritual and private.
Yes, and we see the creation, the 6 days of creation, and then the seventh day of rest, right? So during the creation is a marvelous thing. The work is good. God says at the end of each creation, and it was good. On the seventh day, what might He be doing? Reflecting and experiencing the beauty of the product of work.
That's a really good point.
How often do we just sit back and look at, our work?
Yeah, we
and
don't.
Realize that it's beautiful. It's contributory.
Yeah, we don't. We definitely don't take. We don't take time to reflect on that. I'm getting a time signal here, so.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
No, please.
No, it's a powerful message, and it's not one to be diminished. I'm sorry.
Please call again, Val.
Oh, thank you. Good to meet you. Love the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, yes, we are on our time limit here. It went by fast, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
I told you it was going to go by fast. Okay. Yeah. I want to thank you for being on the show. And once again, you can reach Lisa at 813-220-3000 or Lisa, ESQ, @gmail.com. Join us again next week when our guest co-host will be Joe Ulrich, CEO of Omni Publicity, and an avid researcher of behavioral science, discussing the business topic of finding your happy place on the QB farm. And also thank you to our sponsor, Trevor Lott, Vice President and founder of Business Networking and SEO at World Markets Biz. This international company is involved with the companies expanding to different countries. And finally, thank you for joining us. And remember, is work-related stress worth a happy and healthy life? Good night.
Thanks for watching. If you would like more information on what you just heard today, or you would like to obtain your own copy of The Unfinished Workweek, go to theunfinishedworkweek.com. That's www.theunfinishedworkweek.com.